Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this Council Cabinet meeting on Thursday, the 27th of May, at 2 o'clock. Can we have any apologies, please? Okay. And I guess there's from Councillors Pearce, Smale, Webb. Yes, I was getting confused with Councillor Wood, who's no longer part of this meeting, of course. Okay, any late items, Karen?
No.
Any receipts of any petitions?
There are none.
Any the identification of urgent items to which call-in will not apply?
There are none.
Declarations of interest from anybody then, please. Okay, the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of April, which seem okay to me. Are they okay for accuracy with everybody else? Seconded by Councillor Barker. Okay, so then we can move straight on to item 7, the One Public Estate Brownfield Land Release Fund.
Thank you very much, Chairman. This report hopefully is quite straightforward for members. It's an opportunity for the Council to bid for external funding to support one of our projects, which is a redevelopment of a priority site for housing, particularly to meet the housing need of the city, but also to support regeneration around in Derby. The bid is through the One Public Estate National Programme, which is supporting public organisations across the public sector being able to bring forward redevelopment and to also to amalgamate properties across the public service estate. But this particular opportunity is to bid for funding to help us to deliver a brownfield site that has been a long priority for the council. This is the Ada Bliss site in Chester Green, which we bought in 2018 as part of the Our City, Our River project to support flood defence in the area, but is a site of historical nature, has issues around contaminated land and has flood risk issues being a brownfield site. So this additional funding that we are able to bid for would really help in terms of supporting some of the remediation costs of that site and reduce the overall unit cost per unit, per house on that site by having external support. Just need to point out to members a slight change to the recommendation at 2.2, which should say in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Adults, Health and Housing. So after the Future Director of Communities in place, it should say that in consultation with the Cabinet Member. The early design work around this proposal to bring forward a housing development on this site is ongoing, and those plans are being ready to share with local residents in that community in autumn of this year. The overall cost envelope is being funded through the housing revenue account, and although the costs are higher than one would perhaps usually see in a development of housing, new affordable housing, given its brownfield nature, is within reasonable parameters. The opportunity we're looking to ask for external funding for is £825,000, and the money that's been available nationally, the 4 million, is also being targeted at those areas that are not in combined authority, which obviously Derby is not. So that should hopefully give us an advantage in having that funding being allocated to us. But this report is simply for us to, for approval from Cabinet to go forward and submit a bid for that funding. Clearly, further work will take place over the next few months on the design, etc., detailed designs. That will probably be brought back to Cabinet for further approval to proceed or not with those designs to do the work on the site, but obviously the funding would help with that. The Neighbourhood Board have been consulted about this, and there are no penalties if actually the council determined not to go ahead with building houses on this site. That funding could be returned without any penalty. Any questions? Happy to take them, Chairman.
Sorry, okay, I've spoken to the Cabinet Member, Councillor Webb, and he absolutely endorses the report and agrees with it. He would be happy to be for that slight amendment for him to be included in the delegations. Can I just ask one query? You say there's no penalties if the site doesn't come forward with housing. So is the funding site specific? We couldn't transfer it to another site if that grant was given?
My understanding is it is site-specific, but it is about brownfield land for residential development. So if we brought the site forward for residential development, we would still be applicable within the grant fund. So it wasn't necessarily affordable housing, it is housing of some sort. If we were, however, to sell the land to a third party who was developing something other than housing, then it wouldn't be applicable and therefore would have returned that money. But it isn't able to be moved to a different site as far as I understand it.
Okay. I take the view that it would obviously help greatly in improving the business case for housing on the site, and we certainly should go ahead and bid for it. Are there any other questions? Yes, Councillor Schenker.
Thank you, Chair. I welcome the bid and hope it's successful. I have been advised by local ward councils that they see it may be a bit controversial with some local residents. So I just ask that they're kept in the loop and consulted throughout the process of not just the application for the funding, but the development of the site.
I'm sure that can be complied with. I think they're already deeply involved in the discussions around the site, so we'll carry that on. Yes, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say that this is actually really welcome. I know in terms of some of the issues around brownfield sites, it is the decontamination issues that are a major problem, particularly not necessarily in this case, but particularly if we're looking at attracting developers to build houses on brownfield sites, which in my opinion, is absolutely the preferred option. So I welcome this fund and I welcome the report, and hopefully we can do all that we need to do and have some nice housing within the city centre purview and carry on with the brownfield development rather than any green belt or greenfield. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. It seems like we've got consensus to agree to putting forward this bid, so we'd agree recommendations 2.1 and 2.2 subject to that qualification on delegations, yes? Agreed. Super. And in that case, we can move on to item 8, which is Derby Adult Learning Service Integration Fund, and again, another permission for a bid. Are you going to cover that, Yvonne?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. You may all remember last year during the pandemic, the Derby Adult Education Service actually did apply for some ESOL funding. We were very successful in that fund and have been enormously successful in carrying it out collaboratively with our partners in Derby. Another opportunity has arisen to apply to the MHCLG ESOL funding phase 2. And we would like to apply for this funding. It is a short timeline in terms of the deadline for submission. It's by the end of May, early June. So I would ask that you allow the Derby Adult Learning Service to bid for this extra funding. As I've just said, the last bid was a very good collaborative bid, and we intend to make sure that this bid will also be a collaborative bid with all of our cultural partners. It's been very successful in drawing our partners together, and the outcomes have been really great. So we want to continue on with that, and we hope you can support this.
Good. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Schenker.
Thank you again, Chair. Yep, absolutely endorse this bid and the work the Derby Adult Learning Service continue to do. They grow from strength to strength. Years ago when I was on Cabinet, we were being asked to consider reports to actually close that service down and outsource it from the council completely, and we fought against that. I'm glad we made that decision, and I'm glad the service is stronger now than it's ever been before. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So we've got recommendations 2.1 to 2.4. Are we happy with the delegations on this one? Yes. Can we agree those recommendations then? Thank you. Moving on then to item 9, Adult Learning Service course fees for 21-22. Councillor Williams.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. This is an annual report that comes to Cabinet, so there should be no surprises here for you, but I'd just like to take this opportunity to say how much Derby Adult Learning Service have been such a good part of Team Derby during the pandemic. They have looked at what is needed in Derby. They've looked at who they can help and support, and they have changed their curriculum to enable them to offer that help and support right across the city. There's not many changes to the fees here. We hope that you'll be able to see that we're trying to engage more people to upskill, to become part of the community, to engage, and also a big emphasis is on improving mental health and wellness, and of course employability. And the fee structure recognises that our citizens require a variety of subjects in order to optimise their engagement, and also to help reduce the risk of isolation. So I hope you will be able to support the recommendations in the report and acknowledge the good work that has been done by the Derby Adult Learning Service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? No, it's fairly, like you say, it's an annual report, I think, isn't it, to just confirm the funds. So there's one recommendation, that's just to approve the fee structure for 21-22 for the academic year from the 1st of August until the 31st of July. If there's no questions or queries, then we can agree that, Cabinet? Agreed. I believe that concludes the business of Cabinet today. Okay. In that case, thank you for your attendance. We will close the meeting.